what she said. She's magical, mystical, a powerful wonder girl.
Welcome back to What She Said. I'm Kate Wheeler. Joining us now is the co-founder and CEO of Canada Learning Code, Melissa Sarafodine. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're part of a big Women in Tech event. It's put on by Booking.com. It's coming up at the end of this month, March. But before we get to that, tell us what Canada Learning Code aims to do.
Yeah, so we're a charity, a national charity. We've been around for almost 7 years, and our goal is really to allow Canadians to harness the power of technology. So we don't want technology to be something that people fear, but it's something that they can use to leverage and to create personal and professional fulfillment. And so we run hands-on programs so people can learn digital skills and they can build and not just consume technology.
Now, you are a real lover of technology, and you started early. Why don't you tell everybody what you were doing at 11 years old?
Yeah, so when I was 11, my family got its first computer, and I spent 2 entire summers doing nothing but coding. And I was building my own websites, and I was teaching myself how to code at the time. And for me, I really just... that changed my life in so many ways because there's such a confidence that comes from being able to build whatever you imagine. And as a kid, especially, it was really, really valuable for me. And, here I am now, many years later, helping other people, gain that same confidence.
So what was the trigger? I mean, there you are, an 11-year-old girl, and, there's lots of... But how did this come to be? What was the connection?
Yeah, so I was pretty fortunate that my, cousin, he was a few years older, he was really involved in kind of the early kind of tech boom, and he was building websites. He's, a software developer. And so I had an early exposure there. But for me, what it really was about was being able to make things. I was always super, super creative. So if I wanted to make, a blog or a chat room for my friends, I did that. So in, grade 8, we could connect in the summer. So it was really a platform for me to solve problems that I was facing in my life and to build things, which I think was really cool that people also liked and used and could connect us and had value for them.
On a personal level, like something made your environment just perfect. Mm-hmm. So you weren't intimidated by it. And now everybody is trying to work toward getting girls involved because there is a gender bias. And we'll get to that in a minute. But what do you think worked so perfectly? Was it your cousin that you kind of looked up to that was a role model?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because that's the first part of my story, but I actually didn't pursue a degree in computer science as much as I loved it. So I actually took computer science in grade 9, and my professor at the time, or teacher at the time, was like, "Okay, great, Mel, like you did great. We'll see you around." And I never pursued it traditionally past that. I was always building on the side, but I, was a perfect example of someone who wasn't encouraged to pursue it, even though I had such a strong early interest. And I think it was partly because my family, even though my cousin, understood the importance, my mom, who I really, valued her opinion, didn't realize that a career in technology was a thing in the 90s. And I never really had any other role models until after I graduated university, and realized that this was such a big problem.
So let's talk about that, because you were recently on a panel hosted by Booking.com where you had an open conversation about the issue of gender bias in the tech industry. Let's talk about some of the points that came up on the panel. Yeah,
I mean, one of the questions that always comes up is, and did at this panel, was why? Like, why do you think there's this women in tech problem and experiences? And for me, looking back, I was fortunate and I had an early exposure, and I really, really loved it, but then I kind of opted out for a period of time. But when I think back to it, it's, at an early age, as young as 1 or younger, toys and activities are gendered. And so, and you may even have your own personal experience about this, but I've heard a lot that once a family gets their first computer or laptop, it's like, okay, sons, go play with it, play video games. And girls are encouraged to play house or play with dolls or play with more, female or girl gendered toys. And so at some point, technology and being on the computer, whether it's playing or building on it, wasn't something that girls were encouraged to do. And then I think that kind of systemic, bias towards boys building and making is what is part of pushing girls and not showing them that that's something that they can be part of or should be part of or is exciting and interesting for them to be part of.
Well, we actually had a conversation with somebody, I think it was maybe last week or the week before, about also in that whole campaign of trying to make it attractive and for parents to understand what they need to do, showing that scientists can be fashionable and sexy, and they're not these losers that I thought anybody was into math when I grew up, because math was not a girl thing.
Yeah.
In fact, you were encouraged to be stupid about math because that was attractive to boys.
Totally, yeah, and you see that, and so we also know a lot about girls and their desire to be connected to a bigger purpose or the community. And so in our programs, when we focus on girls, and actually all of our programs are about that social cause, and not just learning technology or learning to code for coding's sake. It's about what is it going to help you do.
Okay, so Booking.com is going to be hosting one of your Ladies Learning Code run workshops, and that's coming up. Is it open to anyone?
Yeah, it's focused on adult women, and so parents or anyone who really wants to upskill.
Christine.
Yes, exactly. Both of you can attend.
Look at the alarm.
Imagine me.
Yes.
Me coding?
It's for complete beginners, so you've never had to see a line of code in your life, or
I've never seen a line of code. I mean, I can't even can't even understand this.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. For complete beginners, you'll learn to build your own website for scratch. You could use it as a resume website, or something to share family photos. And again, complete beginners, and it's a way just to start to understand what's under the hood, and to feel a little bit more confident with this kind of coding and all the conversation around it. And it's really to help demystify what it is.
Okay, so that it takes place in Toronto over 2 evenings, March 21st and March 28th.
Yep.
And you can go to Canada Learning Code to register for it, and there's a prize.
Yes.
A big prize. Travel credits.
$500 worth of travel credits from Booking.com.
Booking.com, yeah.
But I think that's fabulous. But I also there's a professional 1-hour mentoring session. So what's...
Yeah, so I think one of the senior leaders at Booking.com is going to spend time with the lucky winner to talk about kind of career development. Also, at all of our programs, for every 4 learners, there's one mentor as well. So there'll be lots of opportunities for people, again, who've never seen a line of code to understand how this might fit into their future career, to learn about careers in the space, and to ultimately just feel more confident with technology.
The other thing too is if you've got another business, you're a mompreneur, or which we know we have tons of them in, or somebody who's working at home and you've got your own little business, not a bad idea to be able to have full control over your own website and your own stuff
Totally.
without having to pay somebody.
Yeah. So if you go to Canada Learning Code to register, and to win the prize, all you have to do is attend the workshop and tweet about a woman who inspires you using the hashtag BookingFemPowers.
Yep.
BookingFemPowers.
BookingFemPowers.
Who inspires you?
Oh, this is people every single day. Ryerson University actually yesterday came out with a list of 30 women in Toronto's tech community, and every single one of them inspires me. They're, I think there's this idea that, you're aspiring to be, look up to Oprah or, some celebrity, but I find every single day my peers and the people around me are inspiring me by what they do, what they believe in, standing up for causes that matter to them. There's no shortage of women to look up to.
So are there other workshops if we want to learn other technological skills that Canada Learning Code
Yeah,
offers?
definitely. So we've programmed 5 different programs. We've got programs for teachers, for adults, for girls only, co-ed programs, and programs for teen girls. So depending on which demographic you're in and what your goal is, we've got lots of different programs across the country in 33 cities and counting. And they're progressive too. So if you've built a website and you now want to learn to maybe add some interactivity to it, you can do that. If you want to learn to design your own business cards, we run programs for that as well. So everything's on our website to sign up for across the country.
I'm so tempted. I find it fascinating, but I wasn't very good. I was good at algebra, but not good at math. But is it like, may sound silly, but is it like a Sudoku where you think, you're doing a puzzle with numbers, but it really has nothing to do with numbers. It's just the way you think. Or do you really need to have a math background?
It depends on what you're learning and the type of coding you're doing. We liken it more to learning a language. And so it's, HTML and CSS is really a different language, and it looks like that. It looks like a recipe to, to your favorite food. And so it's a lot less math than you expect, and it's really easy to get started.
Excellent. So, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for
telling
having me.
us all about it. What's the website?
CanadaLearningCode.ca.
All right. You are listening to What She Said. While we take a quick break, be sure to follow us on social media at What She Said Talk, and we'll be right back here on 105.9 The Region.
Well, she said